What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Golden Blue Dude, right here on the NBS Central Facebook network. And of course, this show is Braggin Rights. Now, this week is going to be completely different because we got March Madness going on. And I'm actually doing something that I've never done before. I'm actually doing two live shows at the same time. I'm looking over here to my YouTube live show on Golden Blue Dude. And then I'm looking over here to my live show on the NBS Central Facebook group, Braggin Rights. So we're going to see how this goes. If it turns out to be an utter fiasco, I'll never do it again. But if it turns out to be a decent show, might see what we can do in the future. So yeah, today, the first official day. We had the play-in games yesterday, but nobody really watches those. I mean, they were actually good. They were good. But nobody really watches those. Today is when people start actually watching March Madness. Like this is officially March Madness. You know what? It's living up to the name. March Madness is in full gear, and it's crazy. And you already know what I'm talking about. It's on the ticker at the bottom. Ohio State doesn't disappoint. They get knocked off. The 2 seed gets knocked off by the 15 seed. I'll be honest with you. I did not see that coming. I didn't have it in any of my brackets. But I have a lot of Ohio State subscribers on my YouTube channel over here. So don't be offended whenever I say this. But whenever it comes to basketball, not football, basketball, I usually don't put Ohio State past the Sweet 16. Like, that's the extent. I don't trust the Buckeyes. Now, I definitely didn't see Oral Roberts beating the Buckeyes. That's for sure. I didn't see that happening. But I definitely don't trust them, especially this year. Now, they were on a roll there for a while, and people were actually talking about them being a 1 seed. And then they went on, like, I think it was a 4-game losing streak. So whenever that happened, I dropped Ohio State to like a high 4 seed, low 3 seed. They got to the Big Ten championship, so I locked them in at the 3 seed. So I thought it was super, super generous for the committee to hand Ohio State the 2 seed. And I think they probably regret that now because, well, maybe they don't regret that because it was a massive upset. And that's what March Madness is all about. Upsets that you don't see coming. We all know ESPN. You go on there, I think you can make like 25 brackets. Well, usually that's what I do. I do my 25 brackets. Well, this year, I have my YouTube channel, trying to keep up with all that stuff. So I wasn't able to get all 25, but I did get 14 brackets in. Not, and I don't know why, I try to think of every single upset, every single different scenario, but not even one of my brackets had Oral Roberts beating Ohio State. It didn't enter my brain. I didn't register, wasn't on my radar. So the thing is, I did have Grand Canyon beating Iowa in one of my brackets, and then another 15 beating a 2. It escapes my brain right now, but I do know that Oral Roberts beating Ohio State, not on the radar at all. Not at all. So yeah, it was shocking. So the first thing we're going to talk about, besides what I just talked about, the 1 seeds. They rolled today, and usually they do. History tells us only one number 1 seed has ever lost in the first round, and we all remember it. It was Virginia, UMBC. We will never forget that. Great thing is, Virginia redeemed themselves and won the national championship the next year, so not bad. Today, 1 seeds dominate. Illinois dominates Drexel 78-49. I mean, I felt bad for Drexel. I really did. That was hard to watch. Illinois hit 57.1% of their field goals and a little shaky on 3-point, 28.6, but maybe they were just, playing around. I don't know. It was a full-fledged beatdown. And then the other one, not much different. Baylor shellacks Hartford 79-55. That one was tough to watch as well. Baylor didn't shoot the ball quite as well as Illinois. Not quite as well. 41.3% and 33% from 3-point. So Both teams played really, really good defense today, which is, I'm not going to say out of the norm for Baylor, but they are definitely more known for their offense. Now, jumping back to the 2 seeds. I know I've already talked about it, but I want to go in order. Ohio State gets beat in overtime by Oral Roberts, 75-72. And there at the end of overtime, Ohio State had not one, but 2 chances to sink a 3 to tie it, to send it into double overtime. They bricked both of them, and they go down in humiliation in a 16-point underdog upset. I know it doesn't make history because of the UMBC thing, but dadgum, that has got to be humbling. That has got to be humiliating. Like, they were going into the big dance going, man, we got a 2 seed. I cannot believe we got a 2 seed. Come on, guys, we can do this. And now they're like, we got beat by a 15 seed. This is the worst sports moment of my life. So they go from way up here to way down here. Oral Roberts, on the other hand, they're flying high right now. So what happened? Well, the biggest thing for Ohio State is their turnovers. 16 turnovers. You can't turn the ball 16 times, turn the ball over 16 times and win a ball game. You can't do it. That's not going to happen unless you have a press defense and you can get more turnovers. But that's not what happened. 16 turnovers, and they only shot 21.7% from 3-point. 43.3% from the field. That's not bad, but that bad shooting from 3. Too many turnovers, too many mistakes. Ohio State kept shooting themselves in the foot in this game. Oral Roberts played a great game. They did. I'm not going to take anything away from them. But the Buckeyes definitely kept shooting themselves in the foot. We even saw it on the last 2 plays. Brick. 2 pretty open looks. I mean, halfway decent looks, and they just couldn't hit it. So the Buckeyes going home. Still looking at the 15 seed Cleveland State and number 2 Houston. That's probably gone final. I don't know what the final score on that was. I have all my devices, doing something for me, so I can't really look it up right now. If anybody on my YouTube channel wants to do me a favor and hit that on my screen, that would be awesome. You would be helping me out with my other show. If not, that's fine. I'm going to wing it. We'll find out after the show goes over, and tomorrow I'll update this show, because what I'm doing, since it's March Madness, and we all know the first 2 rounds back to back days, 4 days, 2 days for the first round and 2 days for the second round. So, you can't, you can't take a break. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not taking a break. So I'm going to do my live shows on a daily basis until Monday, and I'm going to do my Braggin Rights show. So even if I miss a score tonight, I will definitely update it tomorrow. So bear with me. But then we move on to the 3 seeds. Arkansas, the 3 seed against the 14 seed Colgate. I was a little nervous about this game because Colgate is a really good offensive team. They really are. People did not realize that. I was expecting it to be a wild shootout. I still expected Arkansas to win that basketball game, but I wasn't 100% confident after I looked at the stats. But the reason it really kind of shook me is I found out what Arkansas likes to do is they like to trap you after the half court and then turn you over. Well, on the flip side, what Colgate likes to do is the opposite. They like to break your press. They're really good at breaking your press and then having numbers on you to get easy baskets. Well, it looks like the press went out, the half-court press went out, and Arkansas does what they do. Great offense. Personally, in my personal bracket, I actually have Arkansas going to the Final Four. So I'm glad Colgate did not beat Arkansas, because that would have busted my brackets. Oral Roberts beating Ohio State did not bust my brackets, so I'm very happy about that. I only had Ohio State going to the Sweet 16, so I do feel bad for y'all that had them going to the Elite 8 and Final Four, because I know there was plenty of people that had them going that far. So For Arkansas, they shot 44.6% from the field and 31% from three-point. And like I was speaking 5 seconds earlier, the trap machine worked for Arkansas. They turned Colgate over 22 times, and that's how they were able to control this game and pound Colgate into submission. And that's exactly what happened. They turned them over, and it was actually a thing of beauty to watch. It was almost surgical. I mean, they picked them apart. It was if you like watching games like that, that was a great game. Then we move on to the 4 seeds. I'm not 100% sure. Not gonna lie, not 100% sure what happened between Liberty and Oklahoma State. If anybody wants to update me on my YouTube channel so I can share it with my other channel, that would be awesome. Or you can leave a comment in the Braggin Rights section. Simply because I have all my devices wrapped up right now. I can't look anything up. But I do know in the other 13-4 matchup, Purdue goes down. North Texas beats Purdue 78-69. It went into overtime, and Purdue only scored 8 points, and it was in that last minute. At one point, I'm thinking North Texas was on a 10-0 run to start overtime. That's crazy. Like, they smoked Purdue in overtime. Purdue didn't show up in overtime. I don't know what happened. It was a great game up to overtime. North Texas kept Purdue from winning the game, sent it to overtime, and then they just either they shut them down or Purdue's fatigue caught up with them, one or the other. But the end result is the same. North Texas moves on. Purdue, you're out. So we have several upsets that's already happened, and there could be a few more. And I'm really hoping. Thank you, Scott, man. Shout out to Scott. This dude has been a subscriber of mine since my YouTube channel first started, and he updated the score. Oklahoma State did win 69-60. I appreciate that. My OG subscriber, he's got my back. I know that always. And he's actually watching on the other show. So he's actually supporting on the other brand too. So there you go. Loyal subscriber, loyal supporter. I appreciate that, man. So Oklahoma State does beat Liberty. And so it's going to be Oklahoma State going into the second round. And the other 13-4 matchup, North Texas. A nice feel-good story. Now on to the dangerous 12-5 matchup where there's always an upset. And guess what? There was an upset today, and I had a really strong feeling about this one. Like, usually I'm trying to guess. I'm like, is it going to be that one? Is it going to be that one? I had a really strong feeling about this one. And this was the 12-seed Oregon State over the 5-seed Tennessee. I nailed that one, and I felt really good about it. Tennessee, okay, the first thing is Tennessee got a seed that was way too high. The committee messed that up badly. Tennessee was not no 5-seed. Tennessee was maybe a 7-seed at best. So that's the first thing that the committee screwed up. Whenever I saw that line pop up and Tennessee was a 5, I was like, what are you thinking? That's nuts. Tennessee, not a 5-seed. And kind of proved that. They didn't just get beat. They got dominated by Oregon State. There towards the end, Tennessee started getting a little something going, but the game was done. By the time they showed any signs of life, the game was done. And Oregon State finishes Tennessee off 70-56, and Tennessee goes home with their tail tucked between their legs. They had a decent basketball season, but they fell apart at the end. They looked so great. I'd say midway through the season, towards the end, but then when it actually got at the end, they fell apart. In this game, 33.3% from the field, 19.2% from three-point, and they got out-rebounded by Oregon State. They gave themselves zero chance to win this game. Zero. If you're not shooting the ball well, you have got to out-rebound your opponent so you can get more shots up. So not only were they not shooting the ball well, but they weren't getting their rebounds. So there was no way on God's green earth that Tennessee was going to win that basketball game unless they were able to turn Oregon State over like a million times, and that didn't happen. Oregon State, on the flip side, 48.2% from the field. That is really good shooting. And then 47.6% from three-point. If Oregon State can continue that, they can beat anybody. I know they're going to face a lot more tough defenses than Tennessee, but if they could continue that trend right there, they could be a very, very, very dangerous team. I mean, a 12 seed that can go to the Final Four. But they will face some more dangerous defenses. We'll see what happens, though. Then, of course, we got the 12 seed Villanova against the 12 seed Winthrop, 5 seed Villanova. That's going on right now. It's tied at 2. I see that on the screen. Then we go to the 11-6 matchups. By the way, if you're watching my NBS Central show, I don't know how that one highlight that's on the screen, Taysom Hill, huge contract thoughts. I mean, if you want to talk about that in the comments, that's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about March Madness. So, little mix-up on my part. I apologize. You can either ignore it or talk amongst yourselves. I'm not going to talk about it. So now the 11-6 matchup, and I got the first one wrong. I actually had Utah State beating Texas Tech because Texas Tech has been on a lull recently. They actually dropped in seeding, and Utah State was finishing the season strong. So I was actually going with the hotter team, which was Utah State. They weren't hot today. Texas Tech's defense was way too much for Utah State. Texas Tech is not a good offensive team. If you're looking for a game where you're going to see a lot of pretty shots, a lot of 3 points, a lot of razzle-dazzle, don't watch Texas Tech. That's not what they're good at. They're good at defense, and that's what they did today. They did their defense and shut Utah State down. Texas Tech 65, Utah State 53. Texas Tech shot 41.9% from the field. That's not bad. 38.9% from three-point. That's not bad either. But for Utah State, they shot 44% from the field. That's actually not bad, but only 21.1% from three-point. So that's probably what cost them the game. Texas Tech is really good at closing out on your threes. They can get to that three-point line with amazing speed. The reason West Virginia was able to sweep Texas Tech was ball movement. We have great perimeter ball movement. If you're going to beat Texas Tech, you need great perimeter ball movement. Inside ball movement doesn't matter as much. It's stretching them from side to side. Inside out, they're really good at that kind of defense. But from side to side, that's their I guess that's their weakness. They're still good, but that's their weaker aspect of their defense. And that's how West Virginia was able to sweep Texas Tech. And plus Texas Tech's offense, not all that great. So if you can break that defense, you have a real good shot of beating Texas Tech. Utah State couldn't get it done. They get knocked out. Texas Tech on to the second round. And then we have the other, let's see. It looks like Syracuse is beating San Diego State, the other 11-6 matchup. I can't quite see the score. I think it's 25-16, 25-18, something like that. I'm not blind, guys. The TV's far away. So we'll update y'all on that tomorrow on tomorrow's show. So the next matchups, of course, the 10-7 matchup. This one actually, the first one actually surprised me. Not going to lie. I thought they had the seeding all wrong. I thought Virginia Tech should have been the 7 seed and Florida should have been the 10 seed. I had Virginia Tech in this. I had Virginia Tech going to the second round, but then getting beat. So it didn't bust my brackets that Virginia Tech got beat by Florida. But what happened here was Florida got hot. Virginia Tech didn't play a bad game. Florida got hot. And it went to overtime, especially Naheem Alain. That dude went off 28 points. 28 points. We're talking college basketball, not the NBA. 28 points. That's a crazy game. Virginia Tech gets beat 75-70 in overtime. They shot 42.1% from the field and 30.4% from three-point. That's not terrible numbers, okay? That's not what lost them this game. Now let's go over to Florida. They shot 56.5% from the field. That's really good. That's making more than 1 out of every 2 attempts. You got to have better defense than that, Virginia Tech. You have to. And then they shot 38.5% from three-point. So 2 things that hurt Virginia Tech. Number 1, Their defense wasn't all that great. Florida shot almost 57% from the field. Like I said, that's more than half their shots. And then the other thing that killed Virginia Tech, they got out-rebounded by 14. Florida had 36 rebounds, and Virginia Tech had 22. And it was especially evident on the offensive rebounds. Florida just kept giving themselves multiple opportunities, and I am convinced if Virginia Tech could have rebounded the ball maybe 5 more times, they would have won that ball game. I mean, it was a close ball game, and the margin between rebounds was 14. I mean, you close that gap by 5, there's your ball game. That's 5 less attempts that Florida has, and you lose by 5. You can't get owned on the glass by that. I'm surprised they didn't get beat by more than that. Like I was saying, Florida State, 56.5%. That's over half your tries, and they out-rebounded you by 14 rebounds. How did they not get killed? You know? So if they could have done a little bit better of a job on the rebound, I think we would have saw Virginia Tech advance in the second round. But it didn't happen. And the crazy thing is, Virginia Tech actually controlled this basketball game up to the 7-minute mark of the second half. They didn't stretch the lead massively, but they were in control. Like it almost seemed like it was Virginia Tech's basketball game to lose. For whatever reason, whenever that 7-minute mark rolled around, it kind of shifted. Then it looked like it was still a close game, but then it looked like it was Florida's to lose. And they never lost that control. And I think that probably got inside of the heads of the Hokies, and it wore them down. I think the Hokies got worn down mentally more than they did physically, except for the rebounding. Guys, you got to rebound better than that. You gave yourself no shot. Well, I take that back. You did give yourself a shot to win. But had you been able to rebound better, you'd be going to the second round. So, I mean, I feel bad for Naheem. He shot great, 28 points, and he still has to go home with a loss in the first round. Feel bad for the kid. The other matchup, 10-7, Rutgers-Clemson going on. Personally, I have Clemson winning that basketball game. I haven't checked the score. I'll be checking it after this show goes off. And then the 9-8 matchup. The first one, Georgia Tech, Loyola Chicago. Can't lie, I had Georgia Tech going. They were on fire, 9 straight victories, won the ACC tournament. I thought they were just going to, stay on fire. Well, not so much. Georgia Tech did lead most of the first half, and I was like, yep, Georgia Tech, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. And then all of a sudden, Loyola got hot. And they finally tied it at the 11.5-minute mark of the second half, and then after that, it was all Loyola Chicago. Georgia Tech owned the first half, and then maybe the first third of the second half, and then the rest was Loyola Chicago. Well, it counts more how you finish, and Loyola Chicago finished this game. Georgia Tech, I mean, they shot the ball 57.4% from the field. That's really good. 30% from three-point, not bad. For Loyola, 47.2% from the field, pretty good. 40.7% from three-point. They were draining those threes. That's really good. Give me 1 second here. Guys, I was not seeing y'all's comments. I apologize about that. So I got this other live show going on. So I had a super chat from Wisconsin Fan 100. I appreciate that. How good do you think Marquette could be next year? That's a good question because Marquette was kind of the thorn in a lot of Big East heels. They gave a lot of good teams in the Big East trouble. Next year, they could be at the top of the Big East. Marquette and Providence were scary teams this year. They were given, Creighton, Villanova, St. Louis, all the top cats. They were giving all of them a lot of trouble. So I expect next year Marquette and Do not be surprised if you hear those two names next year. Marquette, Providence. They're going to be really, really good, guys. Hold on here. So the other super chat, Hurricane T2Y. Congrats on monetization. Hardest working man on YouTube. I just try. Keep up the good work, my guy. And of course, he gives to you. I got to give it back, man. Super chat, got to give it back. W Prod says 26-23, Clemson. All right. So now that I know how to work everything all at the same time, I think we're good. I can see y'all's chats. I got this camera on this side. I can see my chats here. And you guys probably actually did update me on those scores, and I just didn't see it. So I apologize about that. For some reason, the screens weren't updating. But anyways, we're talking about Georgia Tech, Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago shot pretty good, but not amazing. And Georgia Tech, 57.4% from the field. So everybody's like, why did Loyola Chicago pull away? Same thing as Florida and Virginia Tech. Rebounds. They out-rebounded by 13 rebounds. You can't have that big of a gap on rebounds. You might be able to get away with, being down 7, 8 at the most rebounds, but even that's pushing it, guys. Even that's pushing it. So really, you want to keep it within 5. You want to win the rebounding game, period. That's the first thing. But if you are going to get beat in the rebounding game, it can't be by double digits. It just can't be. You put yourself behind the 8 ball, and bad things happen. Very bad things happen, like losing in the first round. And then, of course, the other 8-9 matchup, Wisconsin, North Carolina. I'm not going to lie, I totally missed that. I had North Carolina, I think, going to the Sweet 16. Well, in my live show, I had them going to the Final Four because I was thinking of how hot they were. And then I sat down, rethought it, and I had them going. I still had them beating Baylor. I don't know what I was thinking. Wisconsin completely made me look foolish on that one. And I still believe that the Big Ten got way too many teams in. I don't think Michigan State belonged. They got bounced. Wisconsin was right on that line. But when they have a good game, they have a really good game. And they had a good game today. They put that foot on North Carolina's throat from the get-go and did not let go. Not even for a second. And they just shellacked North Carolina 85-62. They made the Tar Heels look like they didn't even belong in the tournament. I mean, they embarrassed them. So I am now very, very interested in watching that Baylor-Wisconsin matchup. Like, it would not surprise me if Wisconsin pulled the upset. I'm being serious. It wouldn't surprise me. Baylor's really, really good, but Wisconsin looked crazy good today. Maybe they just had some really good practices or something. I don't know. I am going to 100% be paying attention to that Wisconsin-Baylor game. Definitely. Speaking of which, super chat from Wisconsin Fan 100. Love your vids. What's your opinion on Marquette? Marquette's going to be the real deal next year. I think they were really good this year. They were close. They were really, really close. And I think next year they're going to be – I think Marquette and Providence are going to take some massive jumps. Marquette, Providence. Those are the two teams you need to look out for in the Big East next year. I still think Villanova is going to be great. Creighton might take a little bit of a slip. Not a big slip, a little bit. But I think the top 4 next year – we'll say it like this. We'll say Villanova. I'm going to say Providence. And then it's going to be between Marquette and Creighton for that 3rd spot. That's my prediction for that. But yeah, that's good eyes on that. Marquette was definitely better than what their record showed this year. They beat some really good teams. They had some head-scratching losses. So it was tough to figure out. Man, I can't believe I wasn't the only one that was thinking of that. I've been thinking that since the past I don't know, 4 weeks. I've been looking at Marquette. I'm like, how in the flip is their record? The record wasn't terrible, but it wasn't a winning record whenever I was looking at it. So yeah, I'm glad somebody else picked up on that. People need to watch out for Marquette. And yeah, Scott says Minnesota lost their best guards in the transfer portal. Minnesota fell apart this year. I mean, they went from I don't know, at one point I had Minnesota probably as a 4 seed, maybe a 3 seed, to not even making the tournament. And they were beating some really, really good teams at the beginning of the Big Ten slate. So yeah, there's going to be some teams next year that maybe we aren't really paying that much attention to. And next year, it'll seem like they come out of nowhere, like Marquette, like Providence, like that. But trust me, you can see the signs of it the year before. So those are definitely two teams that I want 100% be keeping my eye on. So if you're just now watching or joining, the way both of these shows, this show, Braggin Rights, I will be doing it at the same exact time every night. And it looks like this setup is working out pretty well. So I'm going to try. I'm going to keep doing this. So set your clocks. 10 o'clock for my YouTube channel, Golden Blue Dude. 10 o'clock for Braggin Rights simulcast. I think it worked out really well. You guys have been awesome. So 10 o'clock, and it's going to be tonight. Of course, we had tonight. It's going to be Saturday night, Sunday night, and Monday night. So instead of a once a week, usually Braggin Rights is just a once a week show. Well, this week it's going to be 4 days in a row because of the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, and I have my other show going on at the same time. And I'm actually having a good time. I think this has worked out really, really well. So, yeah. After I'm done with my Braggin Rights show, don't wait till next week. I'm going to be back on tomorrow at 10 p.m. and the next day and the next day. Kind of reminds me of Mr. Krabs. If that didn't immediately pop in your head, then me and you are not in the same generation. Because there was that one episode, and the next day it was whenever Mr. Krabs and Plankton switched brains. Remember that? Because Plankton wished he could be in the presence or be Mr. Krabs' life for one day, so they switched. So Mr. Krabs was the bad guy, and he had Plankton on the phone, and the next day, and the next day. And the next day, immediately popped in my head. Yeah, I'm a SpongeBob generation guy. It came around when I was graduating high school. So yeah, I've watched my fair share of SpongeBob, and especially the kids. You already know that the kids watch SpongeBob these days. I mean, that's a given. So Braggin Rights, come back here tomorrow night, 10 p.m. We got some games going on. So quick update. Villanova looks like they are in control of Winthrop. That's kind of surprising. I thought Winthrop was a little bit better team than that. Maybe they can come back and make it a game. So come back. I'll have the rest of these games that are going on right now. Winthrop just hit a 3, by the way. 18-12 is the score. So we'll have those updated, and then whatever craziness happens in the first round, and hopefully I'll be coming back with a West Virginia win. I'm super nervous. Morehead State, a better team than I realized, so we'll see how that goes. So come back and see me at 10 p.m. tomorrow night, Sunday night, and Monday night, and we will keep you up to date. And the shocking news, the blowouts, the upsets, all that stuff. It is March Madness season right here on Braggin Rights. So come back, see me tomorrow. I appreciate everybody that stopped by, and tell somebody about my show, and we'll talk about March Madness together. Appreciate you guys watching. We will see you next time.